to speak. They'll speak for approximately 15 minutes each, after which there'll be time for questions for approximately 30 minutes. We'll end the meeting promptly at 6:45, after which time there'll be an opportunity for some informal exchange with our guests. Choose to stay for just a minute or two. Ms. Taguchi is currently a member of the Foreign Policy Committee of the Democratic Socialist Party in Japan, an opposition party. Was formerly associated with the equivalent of the Peace Corps, that's the Japanese Peace Corps. As a member of the Social Democratic Party, she visited, served as a fellow with Social Democratic and Labor Party schools in Sweden, Germany, and Israel. She's a graduate of Tokyo's Hosei University, receiving her BA degree in 1967 and her MA degree in 1969. She subsequently studied international relations at Harvard University. She worked with the United Nations, being assistant representative of the UN Development Program Field Office in the Sudan. He's the author of many publications, including one entitled Japanese Technical Cooperation Towards the ASEAN Countries. Mr. Ikubu is Managing Director of Kepner Trago Japan Incorporated, which is a research and consulting firm in business decision making. He's a graduate, interestingly enough, of DePaul University in Greencastle, Indiana, graduating in 1957. Went to work for an American shipping company in Tokyo before he established JEC Incorporated, an international communications firm, in 1961. In 1972, he has held as president with Kepner Trago. Over the years, he's consulted with Nissan, Honda, Kobe Steel, Esso, Upjohn, and others. He's collaborated with the Socio-Economic Institute at Sophia University in Tokyo since 1975. He too is an author, and his works include the Gaijin Complex, which refers to the Japanese complex vis-a-vis Western. Mr. Goto is presently General Manager of the International Division of Nissan Motor Company. A recent promotion, which occurred between the time we first received his vita and the present time. We offer congratulations. He also serves as assistant to the chairman of the board of Nissan, Mr. Kawamata. Prior to joining Nissan, he was European representative for the Japan Federation of Employees Association. He is also a graduate of a small school in Indiana, Wabash College. They are rivals. That is the two schools, the institution. He's also studied at the Woodrow Wilson School of Public and International Affairs at Princeton University, graduating in 1956. In this particular city, also on the Ivy League School, the base of Princeton town. It's interesting to observe that he was president of the Princeton Club of Japan in 1974. It's a genuine pleasure to welcome three such distinguished Japanese to introduce their culture and economy to us. I should mention one other thing. Ms. Taguchi will speak to internal social and political matters. The second topic, which will generally be addressed, will be the internal Japanese economy. And the third topic will be the impact of Japanese economy on the United States.
Thank you very much. Your good introduction about me. And it's rather to say, but good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just before my departure to the United States, we left Japan 21st of March. Today is 10 days now, right? And just before my departure, the very kind, the American friend, came to me and said, I wish to give you some advices to you before going to visit the United States. Because I have been very strong and also very active anti-American group of the students, and I was rather hesitant to visit this country, and especially during the time of the Vietnam War, I was really thought all Americans looks like enemies of the Asian people. And what my American friends told me before my departure, it must be very interesting for you to know how I am and how the relationship between two countries. Actually, she has been in Japan 2 years. She is now teaching English for the Japanese high school students. And he said like this. In the United States, you will visit various parts of the state, and you will meet good American people. And academicians or politicians or businessmen, because they need, some of them they know about Japan. But most of the American people, especially American school people, they don't know much about Japan. They may raise maybe awful questions to you. For example, what do you think about geisha? And maybe some of the Americans they may say to you, how you can stand to eat such a raw fish? And maybe some of them may ask you, what about your kimono? And maybe some of the American men may ask you, is it true in Japan that many females are very much kind to the male? So you shouldn't embarrass to have such questions by the good Americans, because this time you are coming to the United States to have the good dialogue for the better understanding. So any kind of awful questions come to you, but still you must smile. So tonight, I think we have some minutes getting our questions. I'm sure any kind of question from your side, I'm ready to smile myself. Well, the second thing which the American friends in Japan told me, first you'll be introduced. You graduated or you studied at Harvard University. Yes, Frank, you said so. And in the United States, if someone said you studied at the Harvard University means, without considering her or his ability, you get the respect from the people. Like Tokyo University in Japan. So my friend said, you have to always say, yes, as a reality, what you done over there. As introduction, I studied about the socialist movement in European countries. Then I found most of the founders of the socialist movement and labor movement in European countries, they were Jewish people. So I started to study more about the Jewish socialist movement. And in Japan, we do not have enough documents or information of such, because not so many people studying such a subject. And very fortunately, I could get the scholarship from the United States. Even I was very anti-American person. It's a good country, really. I'm appreciative. And to study documents and information. Because I got a scholarship, I could sit on the table or in the chairs in the library of the Harvard University. So my experience in Harvard is not like what you are imagining in yourself. And so please don't distract. I'm graduate as a graduate of the Harvard. And also the advice to what my friends told me is, yes, I'm socialist. There are two socialist parties. Maybe later on, I wish to explain something about this part for myself. I'm the Democrat socialist in Japan. And my friend said, the good American people, some of them, they will very much they misunderstand you if you say, I'm socialist. So in their mind, sometimes socialist means communist. So if you become more friendly with a person of American, then you better start, I'm socialist, to say. But I think I'm now enough to be friendly with you. And I'm not a communist, but I'm a socialist from Japan. And lastly, the advice which my friend told me was, she's really, she has been in Japan already 2 years. Of course, Japanese language is not easy for her to catch up. I have a good Japanese speaker over there, and I really enjoy to speak in Japanese language. And but she's living with a very old lady who lost her husband, and the relationship with this old lady and my American friend really good. Although the language is not so fluent in there, old lady cannot understand any English. Oh. And this my American friend, she can't speak good Japanese. Then what was her advice to me? She said, you may visit the various parts of the United States. It is sure most of the good American people cannot understand Japanese language. So you are very kindly speaking in their language. Don't hesitate to make any mistakes. So I'm really happy, to get this encouragement from my friends. So please be patient if I make any mistake, but I'm trying to speak for the better understanding. You please try to understand me. I don't know what's up the people tonight here, but I have heard many of you are from the business circle in this area. And those two colleagues with me this time came to the United States. This is really first time meeting with the businessman for me. Even within the Japanese, we have the communication gap. And as the person who from this small political party, we don't have any contact enough with the businessmen or the people from the industries. And especially sometimes if I'm a socialist, the businessman is a capitalist and they're enemies. So I have to be careful. But this time really I'm enjoying being together with them. And wherever I visited the state, we used to have the good dialogue with the businessmen. And I thought that some of your businessmen of the United States, their way of thinking is really not like a capitalist, which I imagine. They're more like moderate socialists. If I'm in start something organization activities here, I wish to organize those pro-socialist people to my group. And the dialogue between Japan and the United States, I think we have a certain history, but very unfortunately, the reality is not enough yet. Take example, quite recently, I was told that you had a very interesting program of TV, Shogun, isn't it? Yes? I think many of you looked at this movie, the television program. I don't know, I have never seen this TV program, so I don't know how they're introducing the so to say, fact of our history, or giving the real imagination of the Japan to the American people. But concerning the information and information about the United States, I think Japan, our side, we can get more than you get. So take for example, just last night I phoned to Tokyo to my party, and they said the assassination of the president assassination, the event was fully covered of the newspaper over there in Japan. And they know more than me because we are so busy to visit here and there, and even I got the very hot information from my people from Tokyo. And also the television programs. There are lots of the American movies, and also the explanation about how the way of thinking or how the living of the American people. So many Japanese people now beginning to know more about the America. But we visited Cleveland, yes. At the one high school, I just looked at how many books they have in their library about Japan. They had only 3. Can you imagine that by 3 books, how the children can understand Japan? So I think we need more our own effort, not only by the government to government level, but also the people to people level. And this is a dialogue because of my, very selfish and individual idea. We took, this stage because we are told this is a dialogue with the American people. If we were on the stage, that's not the way to have the dialogue. We should be the same level. So I hope that if we have a time, maybe I also wish to raise the questions to the delegate participants here today. And I don't have enough. Oh, sorry, I'm just talking too much about out of my subject. I just wish to a little bit touch upon about how the opposition political parties in Japan, because many of you have the opportunity to know about how the government of Japan, how the ruling party of Japan. But I'm representing from one of the small opposition parties, so this is my responsibility to explain about how the opposition groups in Japan. There are 4 opposition political parties in Japan. The first one is the Left-wing Socialist Party. This is more left than my party, Japan Socialist Party. They are getting support from the trade union organization like AFL-CIO here. But the more the workers of the government, the industrial factory like Japan National Railway Workers Union, they are affiliated with the Japan Socialist Party. And the second one is the religious party. This is the Buddhist Komeito party. I think some of you already heard about the Soka Gakkai. This is really heavily involved on the religious problem. And the third party within the opposition, that is my party, Democratic Socialist Party. Originally, we are within the Japan Socialist Party because of their leftist ideas. We couldn't sit together, so we left on 1960 from the Japan Socialist Party, and then we formed new party. So this is the 1981, now 21 years of history. During my high school days, I was the member of the Democratic Socialist Party. We are getting support from the trade union people of the private companies like Nissan or Toyota or Hitachi and also Sony, and Japan Airlines also supporting. The stewardess, they are supporting to our party. And this is a party of democratic socialism, and we are a strong anti-communist party. And I don't know whether you know or not about the existence of the socialist parties in the United States. I have heard only the name, the socialist, Mr. Norman Thomas of the America, and these days that the Mr. Michael Harrington, yes, Michael Harrington, yes. Those parties, we have the very good relations, and also we have a good relation with the West German, the Social Democrat Party, and the Scandinavian Social Democrat Party, and so on and so on. And we are members of the Socialist International. This is an international organization of the socialist parties in the world. And but we shouldn't forget to know that the existence of the opposition, that the Communist Party, Japan Communist Party we have. And they are, of course, the party of the communism, and started in 1922, oldest party in Japan. But because of the, fortunately or unfortunately, the Japanese people, they don't like the communism. So they can get a vote until a certain level or certain number. But until from this place, they cannot increase. But still we have the Communist Party in Japan. And those, the four parties, that we used to say opposition group of the political parties in Japan. And the partner of the Washington government of the United States is the Conservative Party, they call Liberal Democrat Party. And now our party is trying to get together and found a coalition government. And if we succeed the coalition government, we can change the government. But I'm sure that the Washington government will be very much embarrassed because they never have any experience to see the faces of the opposition group of the people. And within the Conservative Party, there are 5 groups. They are, very good friend of the each leaders of the 5 groups within the Conservative Party. So if the case, I hope the very near future, we can succeed to have the coalition government. Like France, now the presidential election is going on. The François Mitterrand of the French Socialist Party, he's a candidate of the president. And according to the newspaper yesterday I read, they said if the socialist president appear, many businessmen in the world will be accepted. So I think this is a good occasion for you, I'm sure, to see someone from the one opposition parties. And if you come to Japan, any opportunity you have, you can tell them, yes, you met that there, and you have a contact with the opposition people. And I think you'll get more advantage to know the existence of the forces of opposition parties. And just I fit yes, 2 minutes more, please. Yes. I wish to touch upon the relationship between the United States and Japan. We have the security treaty between the United States and Japan. This security treaty started after the World War II, and this security treaty was the strong and very interesting slogan for the all opposition parties to attack the United States. And now the Mr. Suzuki, Prime Minister of Japan, may visit Washington in May, have a talk with Mr. Reagan about the security treaty, how we have to maintain or finish. And I'm sure the conservative government may say they need to continue this security treaty. And all other opposition parties, except my party, may say we shouldn't have any more this security treaty with the United States. And this security treaty issue will be one of the political issues among the political parties in Japan. And I just a bit explain about my party, the views and attitude. We should have our own defense force to defend our islands, our sea, and our air. And we are now getting the fear from the Russian side especially the northern islands. As you know, still Russian occupied our northern islands, and quite recently they started construct the military base over there. We are really far from that area, so we really need to maintain the security treaty between the United States. This is my party position, but many of the American people said that Japan is really free rider of their own defense force. You have to share a certain responsibility of your own defense. So that is true. But I wish to say many Asian countries, they are really waiting and expecting the good help of Japan. And United States of America and Japan, we left bad enough the souvenirs over there in Asia, and I don't think we shall send any more guns or tanks to the Asian countries. Instead of that, we have to help those Asian people using more technical cooperation or the development aid. This is the lesson which I got from my own experience working for the United Nations last year in Sudan, Africa, and also 4 years working for the Japanese Peace Corps. And quite recently, Mr. Willy Brandt, he was the chairman of the Grant Committee in the United Nations on the South-North program. He said, for our survival in future, we have to make our own effort for disarmament. At the same time, we have to make our effort to solve the problems on North-South relations, North-South programs. Thank you very much.
On behalf of Japan Caravan and Mr. Goto and Mr. Ruchi, I'd like to thank the Council on Foreign Relations to make this arrangement so that we could talk to you good people. And also, I'd like to thank you for coming tonight, despite of this bad weather. Mr. Ruchi certainly is not a typical Japanese. This is evidence of some of the changes which are taking place in Japan, I think, to catch up or to adjust or to adapt to the rest of the world. It is only a recent phenomenon, perhaps in the last 18 months to 2 years, that irritation and sense of maybe distrust increase when you hear a news through mass media or occasion of lecture but given by Japanese speakers from business, government, academia, and so forth, when they try to present the Japanese view. The so-called second oil crisis in 1979 perhaps was a trigger for the change of the posture toward Japan on the part of American business leaders, opinion leaders such as you. Senator Benson of Texas, commenting in the February 9th issue to the Washington Post in the introduction of the Danforth-Benson bill, says, quote, "The typical Japanese response is to wait as long as possible and then do as little as possible to be accommodating. We hear assurances that they appreciate our concerns and will try to be helpful," unquote. Mr. Truxler of Michigan, Congressman, says, quote, The Japanese have not only doubled their auto export to this country in 4 years, they plan to step up their production more, further increase their export to the United States, and shoot for 40% market share. It is not my intention here to argue and discuss who is right or wrong, nor to attempt to present or suggest a solution on so-called trade war. The recent automobile issue may be only one example of many other potential conflicts and emotional and political hazards. However, it is inevitable that our two nations will somehow manage to cooperate. It may be of some significance for us to discuss and really think the basic issues of how two countries, Japan, United States and Japan, and two cultures and their people resolve problems. In many instances, human endeavor to resolve problems will bring improvement and put people closer if there is a strong commitment to resolve despite the difficulty of the situation. I think there are four basic issues involving in the recent U.S.-Japan economic relations. The role of Japan in the U.S.-Japan relations is the first issue. It requires a change and shift of mentality and attitude on the part of Japan from dependency to establishing her own role of responsibility. To the average Japanese leaders, the internationalization was in fact Americanization. Until the oil crisis, the economic impact of America was directly linked with the Japanese economy. If Wall Street caught a cold, the Japanese stock market suffered pneumonia. That was the state of the condition. Now America perceives Japan as a super economic power. Dr. Dixon Long, whom we met a couple of days ago, who is a professor at Case Western University, said that he heard from somebody describing the Japan as a sleeping country or nation for 200 years, suddenly got up and started running. That was what he said. And I think the true strategy and momentum for the Japanese progress were not formulated by the Japanese themselves, in my opinion, but rather given and implemented by America. The current disorder, dilemma, and perplexity on the part of Japanese constitute evidence that the current export increase to the United market is the result of following the American model and not a planned strategy to penetrate the U.S. market in a downpour fashion. The mentality change needed here for Japan is to recognize and act as a truly responsible member of the society of developed nations. This is the first time in the long history of Japan that Japan must speak as one of the economically rich countries and not as a poor country or developing country speaking to more advanced nations. This is a difficult mental shift, but it must be accomplished. The decline of U.S. competitive economic position is a second issue, but since there are many studies done on it, I would not like to elaborate also in the interest of time. The third issue is the different approach of the two countries in resolving a particular problem. When reacting to external changes, whether of a positive or negative nature, the two cultures behave quite differently. The Western or the American approach is direct and from the top down. The top person makes a decision with the help of his aides, and such decisions are announced and made known rather quickly. It is typical of Western culture to react directly to problems or to issues by establishing various policies, alternatives, solutions, guidelines, etc. Contrary to this, the Japanese move is one of collective reaction based on seemingly endless discussions. The first step begins with identifying who is to be involved in the decision-making process. And it is important to note that consideration is given also as to who should be involved at this stage for successful implementation once the consensus has been reached. The leader takes the role of listener, questioner, and seldom expresses his favorite alternative at the early stage. Indeed, the leader is a man of patience and able to wait for the discussion to funnel down to the most desirable direction or solution. This is the Japanese bottom-up system. The Japanese way of reacting to external changes indirectly in the form of group consensus may be perceived by outsiders as not fair and untrustworthy. Perhaps this is because the leader cannot announce a direction or an alternative until consensus is formulated. In some cases, experimental implementation even begins prior to making an official stand, thus creating the image of tricky, treacherous, power-mad, devilish, and at the same time the image of Japanese as good little people, happy, childish, interested in endless details for details' sake. I see a great need for Japanese to make adjustments in a cross-cultural negotiations to make a consensus formulation process clear as to announcing its objectives or possibly some options so that the sense of mutual trust between two countries can be maintained. Now this brings up the last issue of the image and reality gap. An image of a country is formulated over a long period of time. It naturally displays negative aspects in the time of confrontation and conflict. It may be worthwhile here to review quickly how Japan and Japanese were perceived by Westerners. As you may know, the first encounter with Westerners was with the Portuguese traders in 1542, followed by about 200 years of total isolation begun in 1639. A letter written by one of the Englishmen, published in London in 1850, says, "The people of this island of Japan are good of nature, courteous above measure, valiant in war. The justice is severely executed without any partiality upon transgressors of the law. They are governed in great civility. The people be very superstitious in their religion, honor of diverse opinions." Unquote. I think there are two Europeans in the late 19th century through the early 20th century who were responsible for creating an image of Japan by their writings, Pierre Loti and Arcadio Han. In the early 1900s, Loti wrote, quote, "Japan appears a country of women and children, a toy nation, gay and unserious, where everything and everyone are small physically as well as morally and intellectually." Unquote. And during the Russian-Japanese war in early 1900s, 1905. The description of this gentleman, Mr. Lotti, changed to, quote, ugly, cruel, fanatic, bloodthirsty, savage, treacherous, and dangerous for Westerners, unquote. Lotti was a French writer, but his influence was not limited to France alone. He was received by heads of state, including the Queen of England and the President of the United States. It is the history of the Western countries, including America perhaps, that these influences may remain in the minds of people during times of difficulty. It may be helpful to analyze if there is an intolerable gap between what Japan should be and what it is now. I think this gap needs to be analyzed. If the United States, U.S.-Japan relations, and if two countries recognize each other as a vital partners in free world, which I strongly believe we are, to maintain peace and prosperity, better understanding of Japanese by Americans, and recognizing of the new role of Japan are vitally necessary. It was 1953 when I first came to the United States by ship as a student, and it took 15 days by ship. Now it's like 18 and a half hours across the Pacific. During the voyage, it was a time of orientation, education for me, learning about America, American people from other passengers. Technological advancement certainly have closed the distance in terms of time, but it is not contributed to better understanding of cultures and people. Therefore, an occasion like this, we appreciate it very much, and I hope I have played the role which I was supposed to do in promoting and stimulating your mind for the better dialogue and better understanding of our two countries, two cultures, and their people. Thank you very much.
Along with two previous speakers, I'm also very pleased to be in your fair city, Baltimore, which I understand is the sister city of Kawasaki in Japan. In fact, I work in Tokyo and live in Yokohama, so every day I have to traverse the city of Kawasaki. Ms. Taguchi and Chuck Ikubo and I, as you know, are members of the so-called Japan Caravan number 3. In fact, there have been two other Japan Caravans coming to the United States. And over the years, we Japanese really have not made efforts to make ourselves understood by our friends overseas. And we felt that some of us who have the language capabilities and who have had the privilege of receiving the best education, partly in the United States, thought that we ought to come to the United States from time to time, so that we will have opportunities to meet you Americans in all segments of life, and so that we'll be able to tell you something about Japan and our behavior, and also like to at the same time have dialogues with you, so that we know what you think of us and what you expect us to do. So we feel that it certainly is a privilege to come here after having been to St. Paul, Minneapolis, Detroit, and Cleveland, and to come to your fair city, Baltimore. Over the years, the United States and Japan became very much mutually dependent. Our ties are very strong, and our relations are very much intertwined, you might say. This is true from the both economic as well as cultural, political, and security standpoint. As I think Mr. Ikubo also said that we used to say that when the U.S. catches a cold, Japan would catch pneumonia. But I must say, over the last couple of years, I think Japan has been enjoying, the Japanese economy, I should say, enjoying a little better health than that of the United States. Japan, as you know, is the United States' second largest trading partner after Canada. And over the years, we've been, for example, buying, I guess in the course of last year, Japan bought as much as $6.1 billion worth of American agricultural products, namely wheat, corn, soybean, and tobacco. We have also been buying a lot of manufactured goods, such as U.S. aircraft, both military and civilian. We have been buying a lot of machine tools from the United States. In fact, I personally have been buying a lot of Black & Decker power tools that I know are made near here. We have also been buying U.S. high technology. In fact, the Japanese auto industry has also been making efforts to buy more and more U.S.-made parts and components. And my company alone has been buying a lot of video wires, been buying steel beam headlights even from competitor General Motors, been buying seat fabric and carpets that's going to our cars from some of the southern textile manufacturers. On the other hand, as you know, a lot of Japan's manufactured goods have found their way into your home. And some of the names such as Sony, Sharp, Hitachi, Canon, Nikon have become household words in the United States. Over the years, the Japanese companies have also been making a lot of manufacturing investments in this country. Although in the course of last year, the foreign investment in this country decreased over the preceding year, the Japanese investment in this country were on the increase. In fact, there were something like 60 companies which decided to invest here in the United States. As you know, Honda Motor Company decided to build passenger cars in a small town called Marysville, Ohio, alongside their motorbike plant. Our company, Nissan, also decided, after a long search, to locate our plant near Nashville, Tennessee, and we broke ground last month. And our company will be investing as much as $500 million in this plant, and where we will intend to produce 10,000 Datsun pickup trucks a month. And when this is completed, we will be employing 2,200 local Tennesseans. We would like to do this because, in addition to selling our products in this country, all of us Japanese companies would like to be much bigger seen of the United States, want to become good U.S. corporate citizens by investing, and also being able to contribute in a small way to the local economy, and also by providing employment opportunities. I guess as one in the Japanese auto industry, I really cannot get around or avoid talking about the current automotive issue, which seems to be the only sore spot in our otherwise very good relations with the United States. All of us in the Japanese auto industry were quite shocked to learn that in the course of last year, GM, Ford, Chrysler, and American Motors put together lost a whopping $4.2 billion. And in the course of last year, Ford Motor Company and UAW, United Auto Workers, as you recall, appealed to the International Trade Commission in Washington in saying that the Japanese imports were the major causes of the plight of Detroit. After 4-day hearings, the International Trade Commission decided in November of last year that Japanese imports were not the major cause of the difficulties of Detroit, but rather there were two much bigger causes. One was the recession in the United States, and number two was the sudden change in consumer taste to small fuel efficient cars because the price of gasoline kept on going up. However, one of the members of the commission, Vice Chairman Calhoun, also said that the Japanese auto manufacturers were also somewhat insensitive to the situation in the United States, particularly in the U.S. auto industry. Our company's chairman, Mr. Kawamata, also says we are not entirely blameless. In fact, those of us in the Japanese auto industry are quite concerned, quite seriously concerned about the state of affairs of the U.S. auto industry and all the related industries. We also do recognize that there are certain pressure brought to bear in the U.S. Congress at the moment, particularly in the form of the so-called Danforth-Benson bill in the Senate. The similar bills are also pending in the House. Senator John Chafee of Rhode Island, in testifying before the Danforth subcommittee just the other day, had this to say: once began the slide toward higher tariffs, special quotas, and other forms of protectionism will not easily be reversed. The ultimate loser will be not only the American consumer, but also the very industries these practices are meant to benefit. The legislation currently before this subcommittee attempts to make a scapegoat of the Japanese auto industry. That's why I said that I feel as though I were and to blame current difficulties of the American auto industry on its Japanese counterpart. I feel that the U.S. auto industry is basically very strong and resilient. We know that from 1980 to 1985, Detroit will be investing a whopping $80 billion to downsize their products and at the same time for modernizing their plants and equipment. GM next month will introduce the much touted J-Series car, which will be a real import fighter, I believe. Ford's subcompacts like Escort and Mercury Lynx have also been doing very well. And Chrysler's K-Car also seems to be doing very well. In August of last year, Jane Foley of the NBC Today Show, who, as you know, is also a Hoosier, Chucky Kruger and I feel we are also adopted Hoosiers. And through our Hoosier ties, Jane Foley got me to appear on her program as her guest. And for 7 minutes, she really asked me tough questions. One of the questions she asked me was that what I thought about the American worker. And now that the Japanese auto manufacturers, some of them, Nissan, Toyota, have been dragged into this country, she said, kicking and screaming, into building some of your products in this country. Can you entrust this to an American worker? So I said, the American worker is just as diligent as the Japanese worker. When you Americans really put your heart to doing something, you can always do a real bang-up job.
Yeah.
and you build. Nobody ever questions the quality of the U.S. made aircraft. U.S. has the highest productivity in agriculture. Nobody can match the productivity of the American farmers. I do want to quote, before concluding my remarks, a small piece that I found in the recent New York Times. It's called the Can Do America. Most leading corporate executives believe that the United States has lost its cutting edge in technological progress, that we have changed from a can-do to can and not do America. Can Do America put the first man on the moon. Can Do America financed the rebuilding of both Western Europe and Japan after the most devastating war in history. By contrast, consider all the things that the present-day America cannot do. It gave the world the Model T Ford, but it can't match the fuel economy of foreign imports. Having conquered a continent with the Iron Horse, Cannot Do America does not operate a single train to compete with high-speed French, Japanese, and German models. When business and academia discuss the faults of our cutting edge, they decry causes elsewhere: government, taxes, unions. But the real causes tend to be attitude demanding the quick and easy payoff, attitude shaped by the me and now generation. America's cutting edge was honed with risk, work, sacrifice, and basic research that provide little gratification today, but could revive Can Do America tomorrow. Japan and America need each other, and that must be made abundantly clear. Congressman James Jones, who is now chairman of the House Budget Committee, had this to say not too long ago. He said, if Americans were to put little more economic sense in their political behavior, and if the Japanese were to put little more political sense in our economic behavior, both countries will be much better off. And I fully concur. Thank you very much.